On today's Toy Spot, we're having a look at the Hasbro Marvel Legends Infinite Series Captain America. We're having a look today at World War II Captain America. Coming to us from the Mandroid Build-A-Figure series, well, technically no. I mean, the packaging itself doesn't even mention at the top there at all that this is part of the Mandroid set. Probably the reason for that is because this particular Captain America doesn't have any Build-A-Figure piece to form Mandroid. Of the 6 figures, sadly, the other 3 figures we have to wait to this year, 2014, to get the rest of them to build the full Mandroid. However, though, this figure as a whole, this figure looks pretty good, although part of me feels like we've seen this figure before, and I'll touch base on that when we get this opened up. But the read-up on the back says, Steve Rogers was just a scrawny kid determined to serve his country until experimental formula transformed him into the world's first super soldier. And right down here you can even see World War II Captain America. Zoom in, of course I can do that. It says World War II Captain America is not part of the Build-A-Figure collection, does not include Mandroid part, which is pretty clearly obvious from the fact that you don't see anything on the inside here. Speaking of the inside here, well actually, before we touch base on that, the other figures you can get in this set, Marvel Now Captain America, we got Agents of Hydra, Soldiers of AIM. So what we are going to do is take a break, going to get this opened up, and when we come back, we're going to get a better look at the Marvel Legends Infinite Series World War II Captain America. There's more heading your way, guys. Don't go anywhere. No. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. So because World War II Captain America doesn't come with any accessories, let's look at the 2 accessories that come with him instead. For starters, he comes with a pistol, very small hand pistol. I would say somewhat unimpressive. I mean, at least there's a little bit of this shinier black that's on the handle of the pistol, but aside from that, it's very basic indeed. Captain America does hold it. In fact, 2 of his hands are open. Both of his hands are open. One hand is more of a closed holding hand. The other one is definitely, it looks like it's geared towards a gun holding pose. So we just get the hand into place. You can see that the trigger finger does actually line up with the gun. A nice touch. Nothing new. I mean, we've seen kind of stuff like this before. Take the pistol out of his hand, and luckily at least he has a holster to hold the handgun. It, from a distance, looks like it's too big. The holster itself is too big for the handgun, but once you get it in there, you can see that it does match up and just holds it. Getting this snapshot, not always the easiest, but that's probably where I'm going to keep the handgun. I don't really want to have Cap holding it. For that, he's probably going to have his shield. Now the shield is a little bit different than the Marvel Now Captain America and also other Captain Americas that we've gotten. It doesn't have the hinge, the swing hinge here that has the peg hole that goes on his back. Instead, it only has just 2 straps, which also means that it's very unlikely you're going to be able to get it all the way to Cap's back. So, I mean, you really only have the option to have it on his hand. You kind of have to loop just around the forearm section there, and then get the second strap in between his hand like so. And once you have it in place, the Captain America, you won't have any issues with him dropping or losing or having the shield falling off his arm there. But it looks good. It's not the most impressive looking of shields. It doesn't have a lot of brightness to it, but it kind of goes on par with the costume that he's sporting in this figure. Speaking of costume, by the way, I'm just going to take the shield off here. Speaking of costume, and really speaking of figure, Spot may or may not be correct by this, but it looks like this figure, I think, was reused. This was reused as a 6-inch, if I'm not mistaken, a 6-inch Walmart release Captain America. I think there was 2 of them that were released at the time. From the looks of it, it looks like this figure is just a reuse, a re-release of that existing figure. as this figure goes, I have no issues with the figure itself, if this is just a re-release. He's got, yes, a little bit of paint on the corners of his eyes that have bled through from his helmet, but I like this helmet much more than I like the Captain America from the Avengers. I thought that was a horrendous outfit, and not only do I wish this suit had carried over, maybe more of just a modern version, but also something more of like the helmet. The little ear caps that he had and everything else just didn't work for me. I much preferred this more so. Does it look a lot like Chris Evans? Well, no, it doesn't. It looks like a white guy with a Captain America suit on. But as it goes for the rest of the details, they're all certainly there. You can see the mesh work of his suit, with the gray straps and the lower red sections. All really, and the one thing I really liked about the design of the original Cap suit was that it looked like a Captain America suit with a real-world application. The straps and what they had put on the suit looks like a Captain America suit, but it's all like, it looked like things that made sense being on there. It wasn't just for the sake of, hey, let's put some red stripes on him, let's put, you know, blue sections on him. All of it kind of made sense, which was another thing that I didn't really like about the Avengers Captain America suit. It just looked like some suits, like a NASCAR suit. I didn't like that at all. But I liked the look of the brown gloves and the brown boots worked with Captain America, and again, wish it was something that was carried over to the Avengers too. But yeah, I like the detailing on him, the browns, the choice of this darker blue. You know what, just by contrast, there is Marvel Now Captain America. And I know they are very distinctly different. One's more of a movie property, one's more of a comic book property. But you can see how one is definitely much more vibrant in color than the other. The other one is more of a matter coloring of the blue. Even the white is a darker color. But all of it really works well. Unfortunately, what doesn't work well is the placement of where they've put the ball socket. This hinge ball joint they've put really far down on the torso of Captain America, that unless you have his arm up, or possibly a little more forward, you can see where this big gaping gap is, where my guess is they probably, I wonder if maybe they've changed the arms. That this socket was intended for a larger arm that maybe didn't have the double bend in the elbow. That I can't confirm, but it looks like these are extra pieces that weren't part of the original Captain America figure. Maybe they just reused the torso. Again, I'm not quite certain, but something definitely looks off when you look at the arms here. Speaking of articulation, though, just move the camera back a little bit here. Articulation on Captain America, he has a ball-jointed, hinge ball joint, actually. So it does move up and down on this hinge, and then he's got the ball joint on top of that. The figure's head can also slightly pivot left and right. As for the shoulders, they are on a hinge socket as well, so they move out back and forth. He has a rotation in the bicep area. He has that double bend at the elbow, rotation and hinge in the hand. He's got the... Now, he doesn't really have a crunch up at the top here. Instead, he's got more like a ball joint, which really allows you for a lot of different poses, because you can get a lot of flexibility with how you have him positioned, at least this upper torso section here. He has no waist swivel from what I can see here, but he does have the legs that go out, and unfortunately they look like the legs that you have to rotate to get them to move depending on which way you want them positioned. So they do move out, but they don't move forward unless you start twisting this section around. He does have a swivel in the thigh. He has the double bend at the knee, and no swivel in the boot. However, the foot swivels and moves up and down as well. The sad part, really, to this particular figure, and something that I certainly have said in many, many, many different videos, but this figure, I think, falls under the $25 to $27 price point. The crime really in this is that if this is a reuse figure from an original Captain America figure that was released for the first movie, that figure definitely would not have been the $25 to $27 price point. In fact, that figure probably would have been about $9 maybe all the way up to $12. So if they are reusing this, which I'm not quite certain, but if they have reused this figure, they've reused it and upped the price on really the exact same sculpt on this figure. That's really a shame. Is he worth it? If you were lucky enough to get this figure first time around, and again, Spot's not 100% certain, but I'm pretty certain that I'm almost 100% certain that this figure was a re-release. If he is a re-release, hopefully you still have the figure available in your collection. Because he's not really part of Mandroid, you don't really need to be picking him up for any parts to Mandroid. That if you have him already, I would say this figure's a pass. The paint is no different really from what I can see. And, you know, while he is a good-looking figure, he's definitely not good-looking at, you know, $25 to $27. Captain America from World War II, I'm going to give the cap here a 7.5. Today's Toy Spot, we're having a look at the Marvel Legends Infinite series. We're having a look today at World War II Captain America. Stay tuned, guys. Spot's going to have more reviews heading your way of the Marvel Legends and certainly other videos heading your way as well. Thanks for watching. See you next time.